Yo, what's good, you guys? It's your boy Ben Mahari here, represent Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Hope y'all been having a good morning thus far, and hope y'all have been staying blessed out there this week, man. I wanted to particularly talk about, the whole stuff that's been going on with Anthony Joshua since his loss to Alexander Usyk, and I've been watching a lot of various YouTube videos, obviously from the LDBC, New Media, and other boxing channels, just to really get a glimpse of what's been going on and try to get a consensus opinion about what the situation is. Now, I'm gonna just give my 2 cents of the whole thing, and and whatever happens, happens, and whether people agree with it or not, that's up to you. But I really believe that Anthony Joshua needs to take a good long rest from boxing and just take a mental evaluation of himself. He just does not look right mentally. And if we really want to take it a step further, to me, Anthony Joshua was just a manufactured champion created by Eddie Hearn. And that's the bottom line. And he was just not mentally ready to accept the the castle of being a champion. When boxers know that they're mentally prepared and know have that championship grit to really push themselves to being the best and to really become a long champion in the sport. To me, Anthony Joshua just was not mentally ready to accept that kind of load of being heavyweight champion. And even when he was collecting those belts, the belts that Tyson Fury originally held, I just never felt that the man was ready to deal with the adversity, when it comes to his fights. And he did, you know, won a belt with Charles Martin, the IBF belt. Then he goes on, wins a unified belt with Joseph Parker, and then survives, a an old aging Vladimir Klitschko before the Parker fight, right? Now, all of a sudden, you had an opportunity of a lifetime to face against Deontay Wilder, and you ducked not once, not twice, but three straight times. He pretty much let Eddie Hearn dictate his decisions, and now people are going to remember him as the man who ducked from the smoke, and he could have been undisputed heavyweight champion. All right. Then you went on, you lose to to Andy Ruiz in a shocking fashion. And I think what stood out to me was when watching that fight, years ago, was he got hit hard and he just was not in a mental state of handling that kind of, pressure. And when he lost, it was a huge shock to him. Yes, he was able to come back and get the belts back only because Ruiz, pretty much ate himself out of the championship. But when he stood up against a guy of Alexander Usyk, a guy that's smaller than him, and pretty much he out muscles him in every aspect, he didn't know what to do, and he lost the first time in a washout. The second time around, I felt like Joshua could have had a chance to win the fight. He was doing pretty well, but when Alexander Usyk hit him, you know, when he hit him around the fourth or fifth round, I just thought that he got flashbacks of when he actually got hit by Andy Ruiz. And to me, he never really mentally recovered from that loss. And even though the fight was much more competitive, you know what I mean? I just felt that that Usyk was not going to lose the fight. But then the behavior afterwards was just bizarre. Now I've seen crazier things happen in boxing. Obviously, we saw what happened to Evander Holyfield's ear at the hands of Mike Tyson in their second fight, right? We seen the low blows committed by Andrew Galata, which set off a riot in Madison Square Garden in '96, right? But to me, when Anthony Joshua, took the belts, took the Ring Magazine and a WBA belt away from Usyk, flashed him around, then he tossed him and spat him, and then spat at him. It's just like there's something not right with the guy, and he pretty much took the microphone, went on this, crazy tirade. I mean, to me, it's another indicator that Anthony Joshua really needs to get mental help. And in the world of boxing, boxing doesn't do a service enough to address the issue of mental health. And unfortunately, you name all the fighters in history that dealt with mental problems, all of them pretty much collapse after their fighting days are over with. You name the names, you know what I mean? From Ali to Frazier, to Meldrick Taylor. Jermaine Taylor, right? You name the names. They've all went through a series of brain trauma, CTE or whatever, and they were never able to say they were never the same again. I can remember one time watching the old HBO documentary of the legendary Knights series when they were talking about the Meldrick Taylor and Julio Cesar Chavez, fight in 1990. And I listened to Taylor's speech in that year, 1990. He was clean as a whistle. You knew what he was talking about. He wanted to be the best. You fast forward a decade later, you barely could even understand him. His speech was slurring. He had trouble. Just putting sentences together, and it was shocking to see that. But it goes to show you that when a fighter sticks in the ring for too long or just gets hit many times to the head, not just from boxing matches but also from sparring as well, it really much damages the brain in a very bad way. And I just felt like, Joshua just needs to get himself help because I'm telling you, he got a huge, shock when he lost, but didn't know how to handle it. But now I fear that this is the beginning of a huge collapse for this guy. And for those people that say that, oh, this is the time to face against Deontay Wilder. Listen, Wilder doesn't owe Joshua anything. He doesn't even have to give him the satisfaction of giving Joshua an opportunity to face him in the ring. He could have faced him a long time ago when they all had them belts. When Wilder had the WBC belt and Joshua Aldo had those unified belts, but he didn't. But Joshua didn't do it. So at the end of the day, Wilder doesn't owe anything to Joshua. What Joshua needs to do is step away from the ring, get his life together, get his mental faculties together, and decide what he want to do with his life. If he decides he wants to retire from the sport, that's up to him. You know what I mean? If he wants to, live a happy life, live a healthy life, then step away. Don't try to, stay in the sport for too long and become one of those fighters that pretty much stays too long and then pretty much sabotage everything that you accomplish. I think about Roy Jones Jr. This was a man that had athleticism, reflexes, speed, punching power. He was the ultimate specimen when it comes to boxing, right? And then what happened when he got older and when he started moving back from heavyweight to light heavyweight? He lost his reflexes, he lost his athletic ability, he lost his speed, and he ended up getting knocked out a lot. And I remember looking at the speech at as his speech patterns too. He was, one of the best talkers in the sport. Then you look at him now, you barely couldn't even understand him anymore. And this is my point when I'm trying to tell y'all, when you stay in the sport for too long, you're going to lose something. You're going to lose a part of yourself. That's pretty much my point. And I hope that this is a reminder for all the people that love boxing that this is not this is not a game. All right. These are guys that put themselves through hell for all 12 rounds for the sake of our entertainment, and they put themselves through number of hours, days, weeks, months, years of training to perfect their craft. And they're going to get hit a lot in the head. And every boxer will have some sort of type of brain damage. Some of them some less than others. But I really hope that whoever's watching over Anthony Joshua, whoever is managing him, whoever is pretty much giving him advice, or his closest friends, I hope they really give him the honest truth and just tell him, listen, you really need to get yourself checked out. You really need to reevaluate your life and prioritize what you want to do. Do you want to keep fighting, or do you want to retire and live a happy life? Those are the decisions that he's going to have to make. And at the end of the day, I wish him all the best. I hope that he gets his life figured out. But what I saw on Saturday was just complete, just it was a mental breakdown that was going to happen. And unfortunately, he reached his breaking point. And at the end of the day, we can say all the things that we want to. We can call them all the names in the book. But the bottom line is Joshua has to decide what he wants to do with his life. Does he want to keep on fighting? Does he want to get mental help? Or does he want to retire and try to, live a happy life, whatever he wants to do? But Nobody can fix this man other than himself, and he has to be willing to help himself. If he's not willing to do that, then it means nothing at the grand scheme of things. So I wish Joshua all the best. I got no ill feelings to him other than the fact that he pretty much ducked away from fighting against Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and Luis King Kong Ortiz. That's going to be, part of his legacy too. But, whatever he decides to do, he has to make the best decision for himself, and he has to give good thought about this. So we'll see what happens from here on in, as Joshua will look to try to, decide what he'll do with the rest of his career. But that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. And with that, I'm out. Peace.